Three friends, one amazing series of YA novels, an insatiable thirst to relive the glory that is K.A. Applegate's literary masterpiece. This is Fanimail, the Dork-Bajir Chronicles.
Hello and welcome to The Speaking Tree, a Dork-Bajir podcast where we read through the Animorphs series one book at a time, then talk about it every week. Today we'll be taking a deeper dive into Animorphs number 33, The Illusion, the book we read last week. My name is Mikhail, the host.
I'm Tessa, the expert.
And I am Brayden, the Red Death, Catriona, the Plague. You may know me as Di Baologo.
Okay, let's do some...
Fanimail! Ooh, yeah! Fanimail! Ooh, yeah!
Okay, on Fanimail today, we got some fucking idiot called @Dork-Bajir, @DORKBAJIR. They made a poll. I don't even remember what it was about, but these fucking fools did a hashtag Animorphs with a K instead of Animorphs. How do you fuck up that bad?
That's the name of the gritty reboot now, where the song is by
repeat.
Korn.
How do you fuck up that bad?
The specific Korn song is the I'm an Animal song that they have. Chain me like an animal, something like that. Chain me like an animal.
I was about to attempt to make that sound, and I cannot.
Chain me like an animal. Our next piece of fan mail is from @Haji, or perhaps @HajiDP. There is no difference between morphing and Yeerks surrogacy. Prove me wrong. Shut up, you fucking slavery apologist.
Wait, what's Yeerks surrogacy?
Like, taking them over.
Taking over. You're a surrogate human? I don't know.
That's the nicest way I've ever heard someone say enslaving.
Yeah, you fucking slavery apologist fuck.
Listen, it's not our job to answer the big questions.
What you gotta do is read the books. It explains it all there.
Yeah. It turns out the Yeerks only possess people who are into it sexually.
Which is way different than morphing, because in morphing, you become the animal and then you get horny.
I mean, yes.
Because animals are always horny.
Let's go to Animorphs ER. Animorphs ER.
Animorphs ER.
Okay, today on Animorphs ER, the segment where we diagnose an issue in this book and try to find a more creative and effective solution, we're going to talk about how we would have purposefully gotten caught by the Yeerks, like Tobias did. So, in this situation, we don't usually do this, but since it's so incredibly specific, one of the caveats is you are Tobias. So not his feelings, but just his physical condition.
Say, do you have to be really sad? And your friends are out to get you.
You're just in the same position in terms of nothlidded and having gotten morphing powers back.
Yeah, okay.
And the situation is the same in the sense that the AMR, the anti-morphing ray, has gone missing and whatever, and you need to purposefully get caught to prove to them that it's busted, or read the book or listen to the episode last week where we talked about it quite a bit.
All right. First off, I want to say that I think their plan is a good plan. Tobias was the Nothlit. That's great. Have the flies be in your mouth instead of on your feather. Because then no matter what happens, you can just hold a fly in your mouth. I mean, it doesn't really work because then you morph into an Andalite, and Andalites don't have mouths, so where do the flies go? But your hawk body can hold the flies in the mouth so you can carry the rest of the team with you and they can escape.
I do not believe that a beak has quite as much dexterity as a skin mouth. I think the fly would just fall out.
A skin mouth?
Yeah.
That's the grossest way of talking about our
Plus that
mouth.
takes away then you couldn't open and close it by yourself, like what if you had to fake a fight, or like the plan went wrong and you had to fight your way out? That's 50% of your weapons gone.
Yeah, and I think, Braden, your initial point is maybe the most important, is that, like, have you ever seen a hawk eat something? They just rip a piece off, tilt their head back, and let it slide down their throat.
I'm not saying, the flies can be flying in the mouth, but, like, this fixes the problem where Rachel, hitching a ride as a fly, was on the feather and then fell off because everybody was paralyzed.
We don't have to even, like, let's take even one further step back. We don't have to have Rachel hitchhike on him. That seems like a bad idea to begin with, honestly. Because if they caught him and Rachel was still on him and they did the anti-morphing ray and
then
it worked,
okay,
she would have just turned into a human.
So what,
right?
like give him like some kind of little like hook him up like the Hawk from the TV show where he's got this cool little watch that's a tracker?
Well, that was my main point, is that, like, so as far as we know, they took some time finding Tobias because they didn't know where they took him to. Because remember how he got, like, knocked out by Taylor's arm, and then
he's in a cage. They're carrying him. Yeah.
So presumably, if the Animorphs knew exactly where he was, they probably would have come sooner than like a day or two. You know,
it wasn't a day. It was the same day.
It was within like 3 hours, I'd say.
It was just over 2 hours that they came and rescued him.
It felt like so long.
That's because Tobias lived so many dark days in his torture chamber.
Okay, anyways, I think some kind of chip.
Well, and yeah, like Axe, we can assume that Axe can create something like out of Radio Shack garbage.
Oh yeah,
right?
Oh yeah, hundo.
So
for sure,
just shove that up the cloaca, or again inside his little beaky mouth, and you're good.
I would also probably have liked to do some, like, this is assuming that we have more time, which isn't necessarily true, but to have done some research on, like, what the Yeerks usually do to torture people. Because they must have assumed that once they find out that the AMR doesn't work, they're either going to kill him or torture him.
They should have had that conversation, for sure.
Yeah, and then maybe they should have asked Eric, like, hey, what do you think they, like, do to POWs? Like... And Eric might not have known, but I mean, it's a question to ask, right?
Our Animorphs ER is all about using the chi more, but literally use the chi more. You have chi controllers that can give you a blueprint of the Yeerk pool and like all the torture chambers. So even if they don't know exactly where the AMR is, they can have kind of an idea. So then you can use your GPS that you've stuck inside the bird body, and you have your map that you can follow to triangulate so you know where he is.
True.
Yeah.
And I assume also that, like, they had to sneak in and morph, because at one point I was thinking, like, if Marco can hold a wrench to do something, can't he just hold a laser gun? like, really?
Yeah, and he has shot dragon beams before as a gorilla. So, just steal a dragon beam.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, well... I mean, I can't imagine it would, like, look good for the authors to have the kids just shooting people all the time.
Yeah. They try not to kill the human controllers, right? Like, Axe has that whole bit where he's teaching Tobias how to be an Andalite, and he's like, here's this cool move where you twist your tail blade at the last second and knock him out. So, giving the kids guns would not really go with that.
I guess the other thing, too, is, like, Axe could have done a lot more to train Tobias how to do stuff or, like, deal with being an Andalite.
The one problem that the kids have, which they always have, is lack of time. Like, they literally have a day. They kind of want to... I mean, maybe they had more time, but this was the best time because it was a logical time for the Andalite bandits to attack the Yeerks, and they don't know when one of their own would get captured, so they want to be on the ups for this trap before it's too late, right?
Okay, so here's maybe a new caveat then. Has to be within 24 hours.
Yeah.
Of learning that you need to do this.
There's no, like, okay, we're going to take a week to, like, acclimatize you to Yeerk torture. Plus, okay, maybe the Chi don't know where the AMR is. I think this, like, pleasure-pain thing is part of the whole anti-morphing ray. Like, the black button is a part of all the other buttons. So... maybe the Chi don't even know about torture, and they just know that Visser 3 kills people.
Yeah, I mean, that's not impossible. My point was more just like, why not ask? Like, it can't hurt to ask.
That's true.
Maybe they did ask off camera, who knows? Okay, so we can talk all day about things that we would have done differently, but what would we do to actually execute on this? Do you guys think that it was a good idea to do it at the awards ceremony? Because we don't have to do it there. It just happened to line
up. My plan, I just thought, fly into a quote-unquote berserker rage, pretend to get so into it, I get separated from my main group as they make a retreat.
You mean during an attack?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I guess my plan would probably be easier if there wasn't a crowd of normals around.
Yeah, it makes me wonder that maybe just going for a known entrance of the Yeerk pool would have made more sense than this like wildly public thing where Axe has to be a human.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're relying on Axe to pretend to be human, your plan is going to go tits up pretty quick.
6 tits, because Andalites have 6.
Oh my god. Andalites have 6 tits. It's never been talked about in the books, but they were always there. Visser 3 just like cutting bad guys, but Andalites of any gender have breasts on their bellies, and he's just got like like a hog in heat. He's just got loose tits swaying as he
Oh,
plows
guys, we can't
through
talk
his
about
veins.
this. We can't talk about this. I'm way too
my
fucking
God.
horned up.
Oh,
I'm way too
God.
fucking horned up.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
So because was there an advantage of doing it at the award ceremony because it implies that they're looking for the AMR and like they want the Yeerks to spring a trap on them?
I think it's more like the Yeerks are expecting them to come to the award ceremony because like this, unveiling, and it'll be a good chance for them to sneak into the new Yeerk pool before everything is all sorted out vis-a-vis security.
Okay, I mean, you're not wrong. It's good bait. It's just a question of, like, why attack them? I don't know. It's funny. I saw a picture of a tweet or whatever the fuck 2019 is, like a post on some kind of thing. And it was like the closest you'll ever feel to what ghosts feel is when you're listening to a podcast and you know some obvious fact that the hosts like just can't.
Man.
Like, have you guys ever been in that situation where they're just like, what's that song? What's that movie where like it's the 2 guys and John Belushi's in it and they get out and they wear suits and they start a band? I don't know. What's that? I don't know. What's that?
Similar
I forget.
moment
I don't know.
where you're watching like a Let's Player just completely miss some
Oh, yeah.
clue while they're walking around and they haven't interacted with this big object they should interact with. Yeah. I've had that, and you're screaming at the TV.
I would imagine listeners of the show probably experience that quite a bit especially
Probably.
these parts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
So-
I'm glad I'm not an Animorph because I'm not very good at coming up with ideas.
I'd love to be an Animorph. I'd fuck those Yeerks up.
The main thing we would do is just not set ourselves up for the mistakes that they made, but still kind of execute on the plan. Because you're right, I don't think it's a terrible plan. Especially considering they have Tobias, who's like sort of a game changer for tricking the Yeerks.
I think even if they don't know about the torture, just the fact of having Tobias have some kind of tracker on him would mean the team finds him way faster.
Yeah, totally.
So then he doesn't get tortured for as long. I mean, then we don't have the cool reveal where Andalite's memories can come at you in your DNA, but do we need that? I don't know. Would having Tobias... Okay, I guess that works for a better benefit. Is Tobias better now that he knows that he has remembered some of his father's life, or would he have been better if he hadn't been tortured for quite so long?
Wait, what does that have to do with
That
the...
doesn't have to do with anything, but I just thought it was a cool question. The listeners can ruminate on that, because we're not going to talk about it.
Okay. I mean, it's okay if like the book, like you said, the book is well written. Like it's not the worst thing they've ever done.
No, definitely not.
It's not equivalent to like Marco not seeing that David's window was closed or that there was a stick in the window or some shit like
fucking
that.
hitting the stick.
Oh God, that pissed me off so much. Okay, so I think we've probably nailed our solution.
Solved it.
Yeah.
Is just put a tracker on Tobias so you can get at him faster.
And also don't have a hitchhiker.
Yeah, just...
Because that just puts so much more risk. Yeah. Don't let Axe be a human.
Ever. Just ever again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, pretty similar. The tracker thing probably would have cut down on the time of them, like, getting in, you know? Because then they would have just been like... Because they figured out that the AMR doesn't work within 2 hours, right?
Oh, yeah. That happens almost immediately. And then Rachel tortures him for 2 hours until he's, quote-unquote, perma-trapped as a hawk. And
You
then
said
it's...
Rachel there, and I thought that was very
Oops.
telling.
Uh-oh! Uh-oh! Oh, no. Oops. Uh-oh. That was a mistake.
Oops. Oh. Oops.
Spaghetti-o.
Oh.
Okay. I think that's not bad. Also, if the timeline was 3 hours, I felt it was more like a day and a half or 2 days. But
Oh, no
if it
way.
was just 3 hours, then that's not bad at all. There's probably people like screaming into their headphones, like better solutions to this. But you know what? Write in. Like we're not dead. We're not so high and mighty that we won't listen to you correct us.
We're flesh and blood, red hot humans.
Yeah, some of us more blood than flesh.
Some of us a
Gross.
little more flesh than blood, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Are we ready? You got anything to add to that, Brayden, or are you done?
No. I mean, my plan was pretty simple.
Yeah, but I mean, you're not wrong. I think maybe like just doing a normal attack and then the Berserker Rage, just anything to separate you from the group is not a bad idea. I think they kind of did a good job of that already, though, in the book. That's why I didn't include it. Anyways, let's move on to...
Every day now.
in this segment, we try to tackle an everyday situation that may have or did happen in this book. All the normal, quote-unquote, rules of morphing apply, so you can't morph humans. This week, our situation is, how would you get out of getting caught smoking at school? Because remember, Eric King got caught smoking at school. I don't know if we talked about that last week, but...
Not really, but yeah, there's a bit where, like, two known controllers and they know each other's are both controllers, but, like, one of them is secretly an android and he's smoking a cigarette at the dance.
You know, classic school hijinks. So here are the caveats.
Smoking in the boys' room.
The teacher definitely saw you, like witnessed you smoking, so there's no denying it. You cannot, for reasons that we don't have to describe, because it's part of the hypothetical, you cannot let your parents find out that you smoked.
No, yeah, I still don't let my parents know I smoke, and I am an adult man.
Okay, so there you go. You know that the teacher will call home and potentially suspend you. You also can't kill anyone. I think I made that clear earlier, but I just want to reiterate it. Bombs are allowed. Brayden, are you listening?
Yes, you'll see in my notes I included a bomb.
Okay, bombs are allowed, but no one can get hurt at all.
Nobody gets hurt unless they get in the way, unless
Violence
they're
is wrong. Violence is wrong.
Violence
Murder is wrong.
is wrong. If Animorphs has taught me anything, it's that violence is wrong.
I don't know. I don't think my dad would have beat me up as much if violence was wrong. He always said it was, like, for my own good. Are you saying my dad is wrong?
Your dad, like, fed you ice cream and then beat the shit out of you, and then fed you cake and beat the shit out of you. And he's like, you'll never understand how important this is without the contrast.
Someday you'll read Animorphs number 33 and you'll get it. And then you'll write about a bomb.
And then it
Damn.
happened. Do you want to go first then, Brayden, since you've teased us so much?
You teased it so much.
I bomb a section of the school with a dirty bomb. Filled with...
Is that just a bomb in a string bikini? Like...
No, it's a bomb with depleted... It's a bomb that has depleted uranium in it.
Oh, man.
So, like, whatever wing of the school gets bombed, you can't go there anymore. It's literally radioactive. And then, whenever I want to smoke, I just go there, get double the cancer, leave, and then morph back. No cancer.
Okay.
Is that true? You can get rid of cancer with morphing?
I don't think so.
I
because
assume so.
Cancer is part of your DNA, isn't it? Is it?
I think so.
Okay, radiation gives you cancer by fucking up you on a genetic level. But morphing has a saved state of you that doesn't have fucked up DNA.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point.
What if that random thing happened, like in Megamorphs 2, and all of a sudden you morph back to human and your wing is still broken?
Well, I guess I die of fucking cancer then. But I'm smoking, so it's not like I cared.
You're cool with it. My thing was I just break into the office and change the phone number on my records so that when they call home to rat me out, it's a wrong number. Or I'm like by the phone and my mom is working late and I delete the message before she hears it. Basically, I was so scared of my parents finding out that I smoked that I forgot that I could morph, which I think would happen in real life if that happened to me in real life.
Braden's solution also has no morphing in it, and I'm noticing that you guys would like not have morphing in half of your solutions. It's such a good tool. So I would do,
I'm such a teenager, I forget.
This is more of like a, I don't know, what's the word? Just a distraction, I guess. So the teacher catches you smoking. Nothing you can do about that, right? You could fake a sickness, a really fucked up, like crazy genetic illness,
Beaconoma from
by
book 20?
touching the teacher in some way, like, oh, like shit, like brushing their hand away or something, and then as soon as they do, just be like, oh, and like as if they hurt you in some way, and then start morphing, but only morph like 2%. Like, and hopefully it's a morph that like it's very clear that something is changing about you. It would be
like you just suddenly get rat eyes.
Mrs. Gruneger, I've got cum teeth.
This is serious. Okay.
Cum teeth is fucking serious.
Like scales? Like you instantly get dry and flaky?
Yeah, exactly. And then like something that would be like dermatological in some way before it becomes like a vestigial growth limb or something like that.
Gross.
So like touch the teacher, do it immediately after, start freaking them out until they like start calling at hospitals and stuff. And then when you're like, oh, I need to go to the bathroom, they're like, okay, I'm just in here on the phone with the fucking hospital. Go to the bathroom, morph a bird, fucking fly away.
I like it.
Yes, a sweet bird of prey. And you're still smoking a cigarette as the bird of prey.
Yes. You think that teacher's going to remember that you smoked? Fuck no. And then the next day when you see them and you look totally normal, the teacher's like, oh my God, did you go to the hospital? And he's like, what? Why would I go to the hospital? Act like it didn't happen.
Oh, I cured my cum teeth. I sucked off the gym teacher. It's the only way to cure cum teeth. He was very generous. I told him, and he was like, well, you can give me a blowy quick. And I was like, thank you, sir, for your service. And because he's like one of those gym teachers who always like has a bunch of like service badges like up on his whiteboard. And then he's like, oh, I didn't serve. I just thought about it in high school. It's like, well, I'm going to pretend you did while I suck you off.
Oh my God.
So, I fake having to bathroom real bad. Did you know cigarettes fuck up your guts? Make you just poop for hours? It's something
damn.
I learned the hard way. Yeah.
Damn.
I have already used my morphing powers to pull Tessa's switcheroo. I turned into a squirrel and called in a gun threat to the school.
As a squirrel?
Well, I as a human, I called in a gun threat and then like busted out of that shit and like ran through the pipes, the roof as a squirrel, got into the principal's office and switched out my parents' numbers with my own. And then, as the teacher is calling my parents, I morph into my parents. And I act so disappointed in Braden.
I mean, you can't morph humans, but other than that, solid plan.
That is not specified in this. And my parents
are
barely human.
All the normal rules of morphing apply, no morphing humans especially.
It specifically says humans.
It specifically says no morphing humans.
Why don't you just morph, like half morph, like Jake did to talk to Tom on the phone?
Yeah, in like make your voice
just to make your voice
what I was
fucked
thinking.
Up.
Hello? I'm Braden's father.
Did you try beating him and then giving him cake?
That's always worked for me.
Excuse me, I struck my son so hard, it gave me a stroke. That's why I sound like this. It's okay to make fun of me like this. I'm actually a Nazi.
Oh my god.
It's okay to make fun of stroke victims who are Nazis.
No wonder you're a David apologist.
So glad that this podcast is not like famous.
Well, David's dad was a cop, and that's close enough.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Animorphs is officially an ACAB podcast.
Wait,
I don't know what that
what's
means.
ACAB? What's ACAB?
No,
ACAB.
don't ask him. Tessa, don't ask him.
ACAB. All cops are bastards.
Oh, that's not as
Oh,
bad as
okay.
I thought it was going to be.
All cops are bastards.
Should we move on to the next segment?
Let's do it.
Unless your parent or uncle or aunt is a cop, in which case, I'm sorry. They're the exception. You know who you are.
You know who you are. My life.
My morph.
So in this segment, we decide on what the best use of the main morph in this book would be in our lives. So how would we use an Andalite morph, since there was like basically no other morphs that Tobias did?
Nope.
How would you use an Andalite morph in your own life for purely personal reasons?
Can I go first?
Yeah, do it.
I would run really fast through the fields and the forests, feeling the hunger in my legs be satiated. And also, I would knit while I ran, like I would be running super fast like a horse, but also like playing Pokemon Yellow on a Game Boy or something, because I've also got hands, so I can do two things at once. Speaking of two things at once, I would also watch 2 different TV shows with subtitles, because there's so much media that I have yet to consume and literally not enough time to consume it, and I want my friends to stop asking me why I haven't watched Breaking Bad. So,
Yeah, you're gonna die way sooner than any of us. You need to double up.
like, right? Like, if I can watch Breaking Bad while rewatching Brooklyn Nine-Nine for the nth time, then we're good.
I don't know like how well Andalites can take in that much information.
I know,
in
right? Like,
two sets of eyes.
I don't think you'd be able to do both, but I would try. Also, for an added treat, I asked Jared about what he would do, and he says, I don't know, Andalites are too big to sneak around places, because that's, of course, your main concern. And he said, is there any way you can scare humans and become the leader of something? Which I think segues nicely into,
Guys?
Into what?
hello. I said segues nicely into, and then was like, if Brayden wanted to start talking, that would be a perfect point for him to start talking.
Well, okay. Well, in that case, we'll edit around it. Well, you see, that is a perfect segue into my point. I would fuck with teens. I would fuck with children. I would fuck with cops and the military at Area 51. And most importantly, I would fuck with civilian adults as well. And then, I'd have them take pictures of it. And I'd get my friends to take pictures of it. And I would become the Jersey Devil, the Mothman. Some keen-eyed Animorphs fans may notice I look like an Andalite. But basically, I would, for fun and profit, become the Jersey Devil of Redacted.
What's
The area
a
we
Jersey
live
Devil?
You don't know the Jersey Devil?
No.
It's a great cryptid. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's a cryptid, like Bigfoot, or like Nessie.
Yeah, but like, okay, that's not hard to understand. But like, what are they like? What
Jersey
do they look
Devil, big horse head, wings, sort of like, otherwise like a
Doesn't it have,
satyr.
Goat feet? Yeah.
Goat feet, yeah, like a satyr. Jumps around, supposedly eats people. Supposedly it's like the cursed spawn of a settler who fucked around with witches.
I mean, there's really no way to trust it, though, because Mothman, all he did was show up, and then a bridge collapsed. Like, so maybe the Jersey Devil just showed up, but he didn't bring enough Starbucks for everybody, so everyone's like, fuck him. Like, there's no way to tell.
I would use an Andalite morph to watch TV and play video games at the same time.
Ooh, sexy.
Yeah, it's pretty vanilla. Also, like raising a kid, pretty much a lot easier when you can like telepathically tell them stuff and also see things.
All over the place, yeah.
Yeah.
But your arms are weaker. Would you be able to even hold your child?
Oh, fucking saddle, bro. Or also Tailblade, pretty good for like
Yeah.
because it's prehensile, right? So not
Yeah.
only could you cut things with it, you could also like potentially pick up a sandwich across.
Yeah,
the
like a
room.
spatula.
Yeah, exactly.
With like the flat of it. It wouldn't be like super good, like fingers, but yeah, you could pick things up. You could hold your coat for a little bit. You can hold your blanket.
What if you're standing at the stove and you're like, oh, I cut up all that garlic at the butcher's block, but now I need it over here in the pan, but I don't want my onions to burn. Well, maybe we go. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I have some ingredient I need to put in here and I can't leave the stove. Fucking tailblade it over.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
You can also just do like a cool figure 8 thing and just like toss it into the pan.
Tessa, no. That's so irresponsible.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
What's that thing they do where, like, they crack the egg, toss the yolk and the white up in the air, and then catch the yolk on the edge of a spatula?
What? No, they don't.
That's a thing.
I think that's a magic trick by an actual wizard.
Well, let's ask J.K. Rowling.
Hey, JK, what's that thing called where you crack the egg and toss it up? Did you know Dumbledore also sucked off Hagrid? But he didn't count it as gay because Hagrid is actually genderqueer. And Hagrid learned about it from Grindelwald, who also sucked them off.
People often ask me, does Brayden talk like this in real life? To which I always respond, I don't talk to Brayden in real life.
The only time I talk to Brayden is in the podcast.
One day, Mikhail came out of an alley and started, like, rubbing my shoulders and whispered in my ear, have you read Animorphs?
Yeah, you're on a podcast now.
And I said no. And he said,
We basically... I opened up this program that had been installed on my computer, and it ended up being a online video call with 2 other people who had heard of Animorphs but didn't know it as well as I had, and this is the only time we ever hang out.
Brayden, don't tell her about the first expert. Don't tell her how our number 1 choice fell through.
Who? What? Huh? Who was your number 1 choice?
Ellen Page.
Oh, man.
actually, we wanted Chris Tucker, but then we found his tweets. And then we wanted Ellen, but then Ellen defended his tweets. And then we wanted Barbara Streisand, and it turns out she's cool with Michael Jackson maybe having finger-banged kids. And then we went through every single celebrity, and it turns out they're all really into, like, just terrible molestation.
It's not just celebrities. I think it's mainly Twitter. Speaking of Twitter, here's what the people on Twitter would do with an Andalite morph.
Okay, first response from, M.D. I'd suck my own dick and swallow that good cum. Okay, next, at, 2 nerds in a basement. I'd suck my own dick and swallow that cum? What the fuck? Are all of these I'd suck my own dick and swallow that cum?
I think so. There's also a lot of people who just want to drive a car and drink Dr. Pepper off the floor at the same time.
Yes,
So
specifically
Alfangor
at Angry Area.
At Angry Area, and then also from our Discord, at Horatio Octagon's boyfriend would do the exact same thing. So it's
Hell
and there's
yeah.
a lot of people on Facebook who would do the same thing too. Like, there's also a lot about like figure out how Andalites poop, figure out how Andalites have
Boom.
sex, figure out how you can feel that like hunger in your legs be quenched.
A personal favorite of mine comes from Chibi01. 1, find out how they bone. 2, use thought speak to not mess up speaking, which I think we can all relate to.
Also, patron Ayanka says, on sort of in the same vein, track time. Because that's one thing we didn't talk about, but it's like, they like track time perfectly.
They can track time perfectly, yeah.
They don't really mention it much after they establish how useful it is. It's just sort of like, okay, now this is a thing you guys can stop thinking about.
Yeah, exactly.
And like Will Malkus on Facebook says that you use the Andalite morph to get out of helping your friend move. Like, sorry, I'm an Andalite Nothlit and I got these weak little arms now. I can't help you move. Respect. That's great.
Okay. I feel like you could You could really do some shit with that tail blade, like that people aren't taking into consideration. Like, you could be a TV chef.
We do have somebody from the Patreon, from the Discord, talked about wanting to see an Andalite be on Chopped. I do remember that conversation. And we've got
kill Guy Fieri.
Kieran on Andrews on Twitter would use the tail blade to open blister packs, which, like, same.
Yeah, totally. That's pretty useful.
I like, for our Instagram, @NotBillyZane has an 8-step plan.
Yeah.
That ends with them buying an island. And I think that also involves publishing lost fan fiction.
And starts with walking into a church, morphed as an Andalite.
It's very good. Somebody @EmeraldBixby on Instagram said, I'd hunt down a lot of people that I know and surprise the shit out of them by acting like a true Andalite and getting them convinced that Animorphs is real, which throws you into the world like, yeah, I guess, would you be an Andalite in this real world right now, or would you be an Andalite in, like, the world of the Animorphs
world,
where the Animorphs book series doesn't exist? Like, that's fun to think about.
Patron Steve also talks about reading several books at once. I don't know that you can do that. I feel like there must be something stopping you from taking in, like, 2 pieces of hot media like that, right? Like, if it's passive media, it's fine. Like, if you don't have to, if you could probably watch 2 TV shows and get kind of the gist of it even without 2 sets of eyes. Because don't forget, you only have 1 set of ears, right?
But I mean, if the subtitles are on, then you're good, right? Like, you can read between them.
Well, that brings up the question of reading, like how it's kind of the same
true.
question as the books, right?
One thing that a lot of people have mentioned was wood carving and clay sculpting with the tail blade.
Oh,
which
that would be cool.
Kind of cool.
Ooh.
Can you
I
imagine?
bet also if you could get your phone to, like, hear thoughts speak, you would never ever fuck up another speech command because it would, like, hear you perfectly every time.
Oh man, yeah. It's not like you're eating with a bunch of, like, you're trying to talk with a bunch of marshmallows in your mouth.
Well, like, sometimes it's like, hey, Siri, directions to work. And it's like, here's a butt plug I found on sale on Amazon. It's like, wow.
On sale?
On sale, yeah. Okay, next time, we're going to be talking about Animorphs number 34, The Prophecy. Brayden, time for some...
Predictions!
Predictions!
Okay, so there's Cassie. She is morphing into a Dork-Bajir. The tagline is, what you don't know can't hurt you, except for the Yeerks. ... So,
Fucking...
Cassie, Dork-Bajir, Prophecy. I think Cassie is going to, something is going to happen with the free Dork-Bajir. Maybe just Cassie ends up fucking around. Maybe the whole team. But, Cassie gets particularly personally invested in them and finds out about their, like, spiritual practices and, like, probably hangs out with Toby and, you know, fucking learns about their gods, converts to their religion, burns Rachel at the stake for being a whore.
Oh.
Whoa, that's...
Hey, it's their religion. I'm just telling you what these sickos believe.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
You got me there, Brayden. You got me there.
Yeah, so that's what I got.
Okay.
Good stuff. You can find more of our stuff on our podcast page at collectivelegacy.org or on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, or Facebook.
Remember to subscribe on iTunes or whatever you get your podcasts, or else I'll keep talking like this. Like a bad character from Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged that little Karibo gave up on after a single episode.
Coworker showed me that. That's a pretty funny concept, but you definitely have to watch the actual show to get it.
Yeah.
And so it sort of defeats the purpose, actually. Anyways, you can also show your support for our show by subscribing to our Patreon page, patreon.com/DORKBAJIR.
We offer special bonuses for patrons, like access to our Discord server, Animorphs essays written by us, and much more.
And we like to give some of these patrons at the Dork-Bajir level or higher a stanky little Animorph style title. Starting with...
Anne-Marie Ellis, The Dirty Bomb.
Andrew Vila, smoking in the boys' room.
Shanna, Smoking in the girls' room.
Greg Delaposta, fake berserker rage.
Max Anicut, Edward Scissorhands style cut with Andalite tailblade. We didn't talk about that, but that could happen.
Mariah Wamby, Edward Scissorhands in a berserker rage.
Anyanka, she can actually read 2 books at once.
Michael Armenta, the Dr. Pepper on the bottom on the floor of the Mustang.
Steam Driven, the whiskey in Dr. Pepper on the floor of the Mercedes.
Martha Urquhart, the way Andalites poop.
Zachary Vaudo, the way Andalites fuck.
Ace Chavez, the way Andalites cry after they...
Alamis, the rule of no killing people specifically.
Nick, you still can't morph humans.
For the Fanimorphs, my name is Mikhail, the host.
I'm Tessa, the expert.
And I'm Braden, the other Fanimorphs.
And this has been Fanimorphs, the Dork-Bajir Chronicles. We never really asked also, if you could read 2 books at once, which 2 books would you read?
Oh, dunk! I would probably read Artemis Fowl 1 twice.
I feel like I'd read comics with one, and then something serious with the other.
Well, comics can be very serious.
Brayden, immediately defensive of comics.
Yeah, of course.
I meant Archie comics, something easy to digest. To double digest.
What do you want to eat right now? Jinx!
I'm Mitch.
And I'm Sophie. And this is
We Watch Food,
a podcast all about the food we like to watch.
We'll talk all about the best, the craziest, and the tastiest TV, movies, and YouTube channels.
Not to mention trendy food fads and sumptuous food trivia.
Plus, we end every episode with a recipe from one of us.
So join us every Saturday for a new episode and a new insight into what makes us watch so much food.
You can find us at collectivelegacy.org, as well as a bunch of other awesome podcasts.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at We Watch Food.
And on Twitter at We Watch Food Pod. So I've been Mitch.
I'm Sophie.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Brought to you by
Collective Legacy,
a podcast network.